Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Occult Explorers. I'm Snappy, and I'm joined as always by my co-host and dear friend Dion. How's it going, Dion?
Life is beautiful as usual. We're still breathing.
We're still breathing. Life is wonderful. So we're in a new setup. I've been having a bit of technical issues today with this streaming. So if we are not clear, let us know in the chat. We may have to postpone today, but we're gonna try and see how this goes. So just wanted to give that warning right up front. But today we are back with our next chapter in our Epstein series. So the idea with this series, right, Dion, is we wanted to move away from diving deep into the specifics of the Epstein case and more talk about the ramifications of this case and of all of the players and how they are impacting our world today and going forward into the future. What do you want to say about all this?
Yeah, that sums it up right there. Uh, we'll still go into Epstein and some of the nefarious things that he got into. But as you said, there's a group of people that surrounded Epstein that there's not much coverage of them in the media. And this is a team sport. It was a team effort. A lot of people made money off this. A lot of people were injured from this nefarious activities that these people did. So we're going to explore the whole team as well. And so we got to give some trigger warnings, politics, abuse, a lot of wild stuff happens,
All of the
as well
major,
as
yeah, all the major trigger warnings is all I was going to say. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, everything, drugs, sex, politics, it's all there. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share. That helps with the algorithm. As well, get ready for next week. We got an exciting episode, Escape from Mystery Island. You know, because I was looking into the islands, not just Epstein's island. We saw Nygaard's island, which is even creepier, which was like a resort with rides, kind of like a Disneyland, Treasure Island at that, where nefarious things took place. Well, there's a lot of people that have a lot of islands in the world, rich folks, and a lot of shady things happening on these islands. You know, for instance, have you heard of Oracle, the software Oracle, and Larry Ellison?
Absolutely.
Yeah, billionaire. He's up there. He's fourth underneath. You got Bezos and Musk, and he's up there. He used to be above them. He has
Johnny
his own
Depp.
private island. Yeah, Johnny Depp. Well, you know, Ellison's private island. You know what it's called? Lanai, the island of Lanai in Hawaii. He owns 98% of that island, with the other 2% being left to the local infrastructure of the island and some landowners on the coast there, because he still needs some workers, indentured servants or whatever. And Ellison was funded by the CIA, 100%. That's where the billions came from. So
It's the same with
that's
Google,
hard
all
with
those
the.
big players, right?
Yep. So that's what this series explores. The next chapter is exploring these billionaires and what they're up to with this tech and their shady activities, because everyone's just focused on one guy. Maybe that's why they got rid of him, so he could be a scapegoat. We know about the scapegoat, how that works. We've talked about that
Right.
in other episodes. The twins are the two goats, let's say, Azazel. So that's what Jeffrey became. He became a
Exactly.
type of a
Focus all of our
scapegoat.
attention, focus all of our attention on that one specific person, and you miss all of the stuff happening around him, right?
Oh yeah,
Why was
oh
he able
yeah,
to get away with it? Where is all this leading? Who's doing the same things now, right? Because
yeah,
this is the thing that we have to understand is that this kind of thing, it's not like this kind of apparatus is only becoming more and more entrenched in our society going forward and more in power, more powerfully dominating people. Because let's say the main thing that Epstein was trafficking in was in um, guilting people, and not just for child sex, but for all kinds of stuff, getting dirt on people, blackmailing people. And that's why him and Maxwell's family, right, we saw with the sisters there, all got involved in surveillance tech, right? And they were also connected to Peter Thiel and Palantir, right? So this is where all of this is going. This whole blackmail network, it's just getting more entrenched, more insane, and more widespread, right?
Yep. And the financial. So originally, people are focused on the victims, not to take away from the victims. The
Of course
women
not.
that came forward with their
Girls.
stories. Yeah, at that. There's a lot of other financial records. They don't focus on the financial records. And those financial transactions lead to a whole spider's web of shady activities. And even after Epstein's death, over 4,000 financial transactions took place amongst his trust and bank accounts. Remember, he had over 150 bank accounts. Up to $1 billion has been moved around in bank accounts since he died. It's moving. The money's moving and doing things. The machine has been activated once the scapegoat died. So let's get into the next chapter. But we still got to close up a previous chapter from last week. So let's start with our first pick.
Oh, 1 second, sorry.
A nice candle at that.
Here we go.
And that was beeswax, if I'm correct.
Oh yeah.
Organic at that.
Organic beeswax.
Yeah. Yeah. So I showed this picture last time. And it's of the Dalai Lama and Keith Raniere, NXIVM, who had his own cult down the street, and it was interconnected through the Bronfman money, because Edgar Bronfman is connected to Les Wexner, and their money was even Jeffrey's, one of his lawsuits when he left Bear Stearns was over Seagram's, which is Bronfman money, insider trading, already involved in nefarious activities. And so what was the Dalai Lama doing there? Because what was it? Michael Wolff or Dershowitz has spoken recently of meeting the Dalai Lama at Jeffrey's house. And they asked, well, why did the Dalai Lama go there? Well, to get money. He was seeking money. And that's part of what happened with Raniere. They explained that he wanted the blessing and paid $1 million to be blessed. And this is the NXIVM cult leader who trafficked women and branded women and celebrities at that. And there's more to the story.
This is also, like, I can talk a little bit about this. This is kind of a thing that the Dalai Lama does. So one of the things that the Dalai Lama does is you can pay him to be a speaker at your organization, right? And you make a large donation to his Dharmashala funds, his various, religious entity charities. But this is the thing, though, is that who's paying for this most of the time? Like, I got to actually see the Dalai Lama when I was studying in India, when I was doing my master's several years ago. But he was being put up by this really weird kind of new age Hindu cult. Like, I can't remember the org, but it was super weird. And they were like sending him leading questions, and the Dalai Lama actually had to be like, they are asking him questions about discipline and stuff, and he had to be like, discipline also led to the Nazis. And it's like, because like what we see often, and it's clearly what Keith Raniere was doing, was they're using their connection. Oh, the Dalai Lama came and spoke at my thing. He's giving, see, I'm holy and I'm powerful because the Dalai Lama is here. Meanwhile, the Dalai Lama will go speak anywhere that gives his Dharmashala org a huge chunk of money, right? And that's just the truth.
True. I've been that close to him right there. I've been the same way he's as close to him. I've been that close to him.
Right? Same here. Like, you don't, like, this is the thing. The Dalai Lama is a public speaker who makes a lot of money and travels the world doing this, right? And when you have this kind of religious power, religious authority, just the proximity is enough to grift people, and it becomes all kinds of shade. It gets all kinds of shady, right?
Well, and we're not implying that he's shady. I'm just saying that the money is shady. I'm
implying that Keith Raniere is shady and is utilizing the Dalai Lama, right?
Well, it's a mutually transactional at that.
Oh yeah,
100%. So let's go to the next image and we'll explore that mutual transaction. Yeah, right there. That's his tutor. Heinrich Herr. We discussed Dalai Lama's tutor in the previous episode because there's pictures of him with Hitler. This is the Nazi explorers sent there from the Third Reich. We've discussed in the previous episodes how the Lama before Dalai Lama was working with, we talked about Gurdjieff and the Russian spies going to Tibet and how that was part of Lamaism with the Russian monarchy. Myth making is what it was about. Was Catherine the Great was the reincarnation of the White Terror. There's a lot of things going on here. This is part of the great game, the battle for Central Asia amongst Britain and Russia, Europe.
We often forget about the Russian play in this because it was the Germanic one that dominated the world and became so taboo. But this is the thing. All of these different great powers were in the establishment of these myth-making games where they were trying to say that we are the original white race, or we have the original perfected city, and all of this kind of myths that led to Tibet were also about empowering like we can never separate someone like the Dalai Lama from his political power and his religious authority, and his ability to empower and justify people. And all of these great powers are all playing in this area in order to get a taste. All of these people want a taste. It's the same reason why China to this day has a fake Dalai Lama, like or not a, but they got the guy, they have the pension lama, they got a fake pension lama, so when this Dalai Lama dies, they get to declare the next one. And it's just like,
well, and speaking of the lamas and interconnectivity, go to the next image. Lama Tenzin was with the Brahmin sister. Here he's with Alison Mack. If you know anything who Alison Mack is, that was the right hand of Keith Raniere, whose symbol, the brand, if he turned it sideways, it was her name, and the other way was Keith Raniere's name. The Lama Tenzin was with one of the Brahmin sisters, like literally the heiress of a $500 million trust, the Brahmin money connected to all this CIA and shady stuff. The Lama's got a piece of that up in Manhattan, hanging out at the crib, Jeffrey's house and the Brahmin's house, and that's some good money. The interconnectivity is there. We're just showing you. So let's hit the next image. All right. We're going to move on a little bit because I just wanted to show you why the Dalai Lama is at Jeffrey Epstein's house. It's because Epstein is a little more than people know. People are just seeing him as one character. He's a multifaceted character. So much so, we're going to talk about his first sexual abuse lawsuit that no one's talking about. Rubenstein made it go away, his fixer. This right here is Maximila Cordero, a trans model. And that was Epstein's first lawsuit, was a trans model.
Oh, wow.
People see, we're talking about the victims of the young females. No one talks about the male models, the trans models. There's a whole nother circuit out there of human beings that are being overlooked. No one's talking about any of the male models, but Jeffrey was clearly bisexual. In different reports, people talk about that. His relationship also with Les Wexner.
He also seemed to be into scat and age play. Like, we're talking extreme, wild, creepy stuff that's been coming out since the birthday book. And the birthday book reveals a lot of the psyche of him and his friends, as well as Jeffrey would sometimes present as a woman behind the scenes. He was just very secretive about it. A lot of them did. Go to the next image. This was a picture of Bill Clinton. This is in the house, Jeffrey's house, and this is the famous painting that people would see when they walk in the front door, illustrating their life behind the scenes is a little different. Yeah,
and they couldn't put this out in public because even today only as Lindsey Graham and certain. I don't know. Did Lindsey even come out yet? There's only just a couple.
No. It's an open secret. It's an open secret, right?
Open secret is the term, let's say. To be bisexual or gay or to be anywhere in between. Because there's more than just one label. There's no label. There's more than one taste. It's just everyone's a little unique and different.
Right?
Yeah, there's a spectrum, and so Epstein had more than one side in terms of spirituality, in terms of the Dalai Lama hanging out at his house, in terms of his first lawsuit was with the trans model, and there was lots of trans models that were involved. They're just not talked about. No one gives no credit to them, no credit to the men that disappeared, which I'll illustrate in a little bit. So let's hit the next pick. All right, so this will lead us into this. So part of the Epstein was giving money to universities and colleges. We've talked about that a little bit. He was setting up a software company right before he died. And this is a security software tech company called Carbine with the former prime minister of Israel. Peter Thiel was involved. A few different people were involved, and they would have the meetings up at Jeffrey's house.
Ehud Barak, right?
Yep, Ehud Barak, along with, I think, is it William Cooper, or that's the one that was the CIA chief for Biden, was at the meetings. And later on, Jeffrey gets killed, and this gets swept under the rug. But this is like a Palantir type company right here that they're setting up, an offshoot, and it deals with data surveillance, databases, things that can be used at casinos, at hospitals, at airports, anywhere. The internet, it collects databases of people and creates relationships and puts it together. Surveillance state. And if people are familiar with what they're up to, it's Minority Report, pre-crime, surveilling people and figuring out what they're up to and how they can control them. And this is what he was doing up until his arrest at Teterboro Airport. And that's where they arrested him. Because I remember I showed you the airport before, that little airport in New Jersey where they did a lot of the crime out of, where all the rich people fly in and out of. That's where they arrested him, because they knew he was getting ready to take off and go somewhere. Because when he originally got arrested the first time, he flew to Israel to consult. That's part of it. And that'll come up in this episode. We'll show a little bit of this connection to the Israeli security departments there. But let's go to the next image. All right. So here's Palantir. Peter Thiel, his business associate. CIA money. These are the original crew of software homies trying to control and take over things. Had a deal also with Airbus, controlling the planes in the sky, the people in the sky, everywhere. Every aspect of it is controlled. I just wanted to show you that in Palantir, how they work. And who Peter Thiel is. So Peter Thiel is a software billionaire into security, into databases, into the CIA, into Jeffrey Epstein, into big money, into doing shady things. He into putting J.D. Vance in office. That's the money behind that. Go to the next image so we can wrap this up with who Peter Thiel is. Here's Peter Thiel with his husband, whose husband is a cutthroat hedge fund manager. Big money. So together, they both control billions of dollars of money in different regions and aspects. And they're involved in a lot of shady stuff. On New Year's Eve, they were having a party, and a male model showed up and confronted them and confronted Peter Thiel. Go to the next image. And here he is right here. And he ends up getting killed. Ends up getting murdered. And this is Peter Thiel's ex-boyfriend, Jeff Douglas, who's part of a modeling agency. And there's a lot of creepy deaths around these rich billionaires. And so the women we talked about, well, now we'll talk about some of the men that disappear and the male models. And here's Jeff Douglas, who was part of an institution or a modeling agency and got involved with Peter Thiel and then ended up confronting them at a party. And a couple of weeks later, he's unalived off the balcony. The classic, fell off the balcony. Where we heard that one before. Had everything to going for him, and it just created a new company, but had to be silenced because he knew a little too much about this story. Like a lot of people that were silenced that know too much about it, because you got to know, even Palantir, the former CIA chief, is on the board of Palantir. So Palantir has kind of become like a mini government or part of our government structure. But behind the scenes, these guys party hard. And the software they're using, the Maxwells did have a hand in that. The Promise software, Inslaw, Kiliad with the Maxwell sisters, Robert Maxwell, his involvement with stealing software. And so a lot of these big software guys, including Musk, Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, when they ain't behind the computer, they get up to some other stuff with their money. All have private islands.
Oh yeah, and
All have
the Peter
models
Thiel guy,
dying at their island.
we have to talk about Peter Thiel too for a couple other major key points, right? Anyone who's interested in an esoterica and the occult like us, anyone who's into this kind of magic will immediately know the name Curtis Yarvin. We're going to have to dive deeper into him in the next couple episodes, but Curtis Yarvin, also known as Mencius Moldbug, he's a monarchist and a minarchist extremist philosopher who is kind of like, I describe him as kind of the Dugan for Peter Thiel and for Trump, as like where Dugan was the arc wizard who was constructing a lot of the memes and constructing a lot of this hyper reality and creating this sort of extremism in Russia. We have the same thing in Curtis Yarvin. And it's really interesting. People, if you want to check this out, go listen to Curtis Yarvin's Mencius Moldbug's interview that he did on the Hermetics podcast several years ago. It's dark. It's dark stuff. It's tyrannical extremism. And the point we need to put forward, though, is that Curtis Yarvin is on the payroll by Peter Thiel, right? Another big thing with freaking Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel for years had been trying to create, he's been trying to create his own kind of nation state for years. For a long time, he had this shipping company where they were going to build their own private island. It wound up all falling apart, but this whole idea of creating a libertarian utopian island or underwater island became the basis for a video game series that a lot of people will know. What was it called? Frig. Oh my God, what's it called? Oh shoot, sorry. Um, I can't remember now. Anyway, but the point is that Peter Thiel is like this classic cartoon villain type character who really does want to create a new BioShock. Thank you, Mother Rhea. Who really does want to create this whole type of like this extremist sort of monarchist state. And what Curtis Yarvin talks about is you have like a king who's first and foremost, and then behind him you have a CEO. So you have sort of like a duopoly of like these two power brokers. The other big wild thing that Peter Thiel is always yelling about that's so wild is the Antichrist. He's a devout Christian and he's pro-Israel.
So he's giving a 4-part private lecture series in San Francisco for rich folks to show up and pay thousands of dollars to hear him talk about the Antichrist. Not one time, but it's a 4-part series. What the fuck he know about the Antichrist in 4 parts? So, recently, an interview asked him, well, aren't you the Antichrist? The shit you're into? 4 parts?
Right?
I'll do 4 parts on him being Antichrist if he wants.
He doesn't even think humanity, like there's an infamous clip where they ask him if he thinks that humanity should prevail, and he can't give a straight answer because he doesn't believe humanity as it is should prevail, right? He doesn't like what humanity in its current state, and he has his own twisted vision for us, some kind of transhumanist Christian nightmare. And it's
no. That's for us, because when he's in private on his yacht, he's doing coke and hanging out with male models and having orgies.
Right.
Get the fuck out.
But he also, I know it's so wild. And then he always talks about how he believes that the Antichrist is going to be someone who promotes peace and love in the environment, and it's going to be
we don't like that. We don't like that stuff.
Beautiful child. So you know who he uses as his stand-in for the Antichrist in several of his public speeches that I've seen on YouTube is freaking Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg. This is who he uses as his stand-in. Like it's just the absurdity of it. Like
No,
Yeah.
Musk has a thing for her too. Musk also has a fascination with Greta. So,
Right? Because they
and
don't
that's
like
part of what's going
powerful,
on.
young, beautiful women who are standing up and fighting for nature, right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
insane.
No, they'll destroy nature. They don't give a shit
No,
about that.
and
And
they
that's
certainly
why,
don't give a care about women, right?
yeah, yeah. And so there is a whole group of people. So let's keep the thread going. Go to the next image. And here's another gentleman who's in the same club, who's worth billions of dollars, had financial dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. Um, so much so that Les Wexner hired him to be the head of Abercrombie and Fitch, the CEO. So Jeffrey was in charge of the money of that. So this Jeffrey was in charge of and connected to this guy financially, power attorney. And so this is Abercrombie and Fitch, 1992. Remember that peak time when he joined up with Les? And by 2014, they were making $2 billion a year. He turned it around. But how did he do it? How did he do it? It was by exploiting young models. That was the secret for Abercrombie and Fitch. Go to the next image. This is the Abercrombie Fitch jet that they had, and it was famous in the news. You could Google this, the Abercrombie Fitch jet, because it would have male models on there, and they had a 40-page book, a training manual for that. He would take Abercrombie Fitch models and make them attendants on the planes, and the rich men would grope them as they would come by, and they would dress almost like Chippendales. We're talking about the women being exploited. Men were being exploited too. And this is through the same financial network, on planes, private islands, Manhattan parties, Florida, the same folks, because not everyone has the same taste. Some people like boys, some people like girls, some people like both. So you get on the different plane that suits your taste and go flying off into the sunset.
We talked about this in one of the first episodes. This is one of the things that Ghislaine and Epstein were famous for, was that they would, with a lot of these older girls, they were actually training them to fulfill certain billionaire fetishes.
Yeah.
So they had doctors, they had dentists. They like it's such a weird thing to talk about, but this is how they talked about it.
Well, in Jeffrey's case, that could be a female pilot driving the plane that he trained or was sent to flight school and became one of his girlfriends. And he would buy their parents a house and give them money. And then they would help exploit young girls along with them. But boys and also men and trans folks being exploited. That's just not covered because it's going to out all this other network of people, including Abercrombie and Fitch, Peter Thiel. There was a lawsuit against Abercrombie and Fitch over this, the male models getting on the plane and being forced to do things. They call it yacht boys. There's a term called yacht boy. Even Zac Efron, they talk about that. How about if you're a famous actor, but you're still being paid $500,000 or $1 million to go hang out with old rich dudes on boats? There's evidence of rich people hanging out with even richer people. So let's say you're a famous celebrity. The Sultan of Brunei or the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi wants to have you at his party. They can have you come perform. They can pay you to play. In the Sultan's case of Brunei, he would hire models on photo shoots and just keep them until the State Department and the U.S. military have to hey, can you send them back now? You had your way, and nothing happens to those people. Sultan of Brunei, Epstein's connected to them too. We saw the other stuff. Yeah. So this trafficking stuff. So it deals how the money spread out. And these people are interconnected through modeling agencies, software companies, and universities and schools. It's all interconnected because that's where the new talent's coming from. The new tech, the youngins, the good-looking people. This is where they harvest them through the schools.
That's what you got to do, right?
So we're going to explore another aspect of this because it all connects together. Go to the next image. All right. So we'll talk about Jerry Falwell. here with Netanyahu, because Netanyahu helped save him. Because Jerry Falwell's at the root of a lot of this stuff too. This Christian Zionism, part of it, he was invented through Jerry Falwell and other homies, but it was co-signed through Netanyahu and through Jewish think tanks and through Jewish money. So much so that Jerry Falwell got in trouble for securities fraud. Same thing, like everyone gets involved with this stocks and securities fraud, white collar big boy stuff. And he got bailed out of it. How? He flew to Israel. And what happened? Go to the next image. They yep, you can see they gave him a private plane. Netanyahu gave Jerry Falwell a private plane after the stocks and securities fraud. They helped bail him out, gave him the millions of dollars. He funded the Liberty University, Christian Zionism, where a lot of this stuff's happening, this coming out of. And once again, it's all interconnected through security.
He really is. He kind of really is, like, we can't highlight this enough. He really is where this kind of evangelical, like where Christian nationalism meets Israeli nationalism. It begins with Falwell, right? He was pushing this all the way back in the 80s and saying that if you're a good Christian and a good American, then you must be willing to die and fight for Israel too. Right?
Yeah.
Like, well, that was not something really happening prior to this guy, you know? Not to that extent.
Yeah. And the money that they were involved with was still stock, financial markets. That was his other job. Besides the church and spreading the gospel, they're in the stock manipulation and the intelligence state. And there's so much so they give him a private plane. It's the exchanges of these planes we see almost in every episode. When you're a big boy, you get on private planes and yachts, and that's where you're in the next level club doing goofy stuff. Well, Jerry Falwell's Liberty University was also a recipient of that Epstein money. Interconnected through these people. It was Menachem Begum. That was the name of one of the prime ministers that he was involved with. And this is like the APAC, CPAC crew. This is how it all comes together. And the money, Epstein's connected to the Liberty University and a lot of nefarious activities with these people. Let's go to the next image. All right, you can see right there. Here's the son. This is Jerry Falwell Jr., a spiritual advisor to Herr Trump right there. Shady guy. Because go to the next image. Let's see how shady this Jerry Falwell Jr. is. Yeah. So here's the boat. First of all, I'll show you the boat where he got caught. Because remember, people get caught in yachts a lot. This comes up in our episodes. Hot Wheels. Yeah.
Why do you have a kid's toy? Why do you have a kid's toy thing as your yacht?
Well, it's not his yacht.
Weird.
This is Rick Hendrick's yacht, who is NASCAR, the head of NASCAR. The racing. Yeah, well, he gives money also to the Liberty University. He's a big donator to the. He has a deal with the Liberty University. It's called the Liberty U Race Team, because this Christian Zionist university needs to have a NASCAR race team. We'll go to the next image.
Oh my God!
And here's Jerry Falwell Jr. on the boat, on that same boat, having fun with the girl. That's right. These are your Christian Zionist pastors, that big money pastors. Connected to intelligence, Epstein, J.D. Vance. This is where America is at now. This is the next chapter. Shady as hell. And we've had a lot of more shady things happening with him. Go to the next image. Besides the yacht parties, here's a gentleman right here. His name is Giancarlo Granda. Pool boy. Ended up sleeping with Jerry Falwell's wife while he would watch. And he made him so much so that he made him a CEO of one of his youth hostels and partnered up with the kid. There's a lot going on with these guys that people don't know about with this Christian Zionist movement and its connections to the security apparatus and young male models. They got a different taste. Where was that youth hostel at that he made for the young boy? This guy? Miami Beach. So in
Oh
Miami
my
Beach is a hostel for young boys run by him
God.
who sleeps with Jerry Falwell's wife, who Jerry Falwell's connected to the security apparatus and CIA and Mossad and the whole thing. And they got that big money. But there's also another student, or let's say graduate of their school. Go to the next image. Here he is right there. Yeah, Zachary Radcliffe. Look at there he is with Junior and and the girl on the right, that's what's his name? Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, kicking it. Zachary Radcliffe, MAGA boy, giving the speeches and the songs for the election for Trump and everything. Recently got busted with the young boys. He has a thing for youngins. Got busted. In a sting recently. Arrested. Trying to get with the young kids. Youth pastor from this Liberty University. These people that have that are on the political and spiritual pulse with the president and the royal family, our presidential family. This is the stuff they get up to in private on their planes and yachts, in their schools. Nefarious peoples. So let's go to the next image. And let's get more into it, because this is another fellow who's same club of people and is interconnected to these people.
This guy,
So,
wasn't this the guy who just got arrested in Las Vegas in that sting?
yeah,
The Jew guy?
yeah. Well, and he was actually born in Russia before he emigrated to Israel.
Oh,
He all right. So he is a cold piece, Tom Alexandrovich. He's the head of their cybersecurity department. He can press a button and shut our channel down, just so you know. Like, their security apparatus is so powerful, and their connections with Unit 8200 and the whole little thingy. We'll talk about them later. The thing is, what happened with him, and it's part of the bigger next chapter. It's part of the, let's say, the whole network. Epstein's network is all connected to this. A lot of the players, these people. So what was he doing in Las Vegas? Because when he got busted trying to get the 15-year-old girl at the diner that he met online, before that he was at a security conference called Black Hat. Go to the next image. I think might have an image of it. Oh no, I don't. But that's cool. So it was called Black Hat 2025, which was a security conference, national defense security conference. Well, where should we have this at? In Las Vegas. So Palantir's there, all the homies, all these people that we're talking about, they're all there. They're having their meeting, discussing the security apparatus, minority report style surveillance state to take us over. And then when they get bored, they go party with prostitutes or what have you. And he has a certain taste, along with the other fellows. This real Zionistic, whether it's Christian Zionists or just Zionists, they think that younger people and innocent people are at their disposal. That's just part of what their spiritual beliefs are. We've illustrated that. We've done at least 100 episodes so far. We've covered a lot of that, how it goes back to ancient mystery rites. It's in religious texts that people are ingrained with.
People forget look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to break free of the law, shatter the nomos so that they can totally engage in pure freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Right? They want to exit this reality and create their own reality.
Yeah. And that's what he tried to do. He's like, a 15-year-old girl, cool. That sounds fun. Well, it ended up being an FBI sting, even though he was there to meet with the FBI. And part of his security conference, just a different division of the FBI got him.
And we need to understand too, like, so much about these religions. What is the purpose of these religions, right? Like, people think that the Bible is a work of the ancient past about a history. No, it's about creating a present. It's about stealing land, about empowering people, right? There's a reason why you hear people call the Palestinians the Amalekites and justify what they do to them, right? Yeah. It's all about the same reason why the Germans and the Russians, like we were talking about, were going to Tibet to construct their own myths. Well, they found a better one. The British and the Americans, they found a better one, the Israeli Christian myth. So it allows them to colonize Arabia, right? It's the same kind of nonsense.
All right. And so put out another trigger warning because I'm not being anti-Semitic
No,
at that, because you can test my DNA if you want to get a drop of the blood and see what it says, the DNA results. So nobody's
religion.
anti-Semitic here.
Religion is the problem.
Yes, yes, yes. And so part of that with this religious laws, Talmudic or Torah-based law, is the right to return in Israel. So the fellow got on a plane after getting ready to molest a young girl and went back home, and has not come back since. And there's been a lot of that happening. There's videos and a lot of reports on in the media recently about that connection of people that commit those crimes can go to a place and not be extradited for those crimes because of a spiritual law that oversees a regular law. And that's what's happening. So, but there's more to this story. He didn't just get on the plane and go home. There was other people that helped him when he got busted. Because once he got busted and they figured out who he was, they're like, shit, he's the head of the Israeli cybersecurity division, like super important for their country. You know, this is the Iron Dome, the defense, the software. This is the main dude. And he got busted. So they had to bring in the rest of the players. And it's ironic that in Clark County, Nevada, how it's super connected. Why he would get on a plane and go home after just getting ready to molest a kid. Go to the next picture and I'll explain it to you real quick. This is what you have. His name is David Chesnoff. That was the district attorney. Here he is after October 7th. He went to Israel to volunteer with the IDF forces. So he's going to have no problem letting the guy get on the plane and go home. And this guy right here, David Chestnut, the DA, this is the DA, defense attorney for Clark County, the one who let him go. He donated as well to the district attorney's campaign. It's funny. His competitor he donated to, which go to the next picture and I'll show you him, Steve Wolfson, who also he was the prosecutor. He was the one that could have said, no, you got to stay here. You're going to molest a 15-year-old girl. You can't get on a plane and go home to Israel. Well, that's because he's okay with that. Because that happens to be his spiritual belief as well. And he's connected to other billionaires. Like there's one with him, with Henry Nichols. I'll show it in a different episode where he helps some billionaires out in Clark County, Nevada. This is where a lot of shady stuff happens in Las Vegas. He's the district attorney. He's the prosecutor there that lets people off. He was a prosecutor there during the shooting. Remember the shooting? The Las Vegas shooting? A lot of stuff happens. It's this little team of people. And the person above them, if you go to the next image, is her name is Chata Sigil. She's the attorney general of Nevada. And you know she's from Israel first, before she even came here. So you ask the question, why did the head of the Israeli cybersecurity division get ready to molest a 15-year-old girl and get on a plane and go home to Israel? Because the whole Clark County administration there, in charge of it, are straight connected to Israel, to the Israel Defense Forces at that. This is not an anti-Jewish thing. It's just saying they're connected to the security apparatus. And so that security conference that was going on there, it was so, there was so much juice on it that all the hotels were given a report or warning to be careful to all their employees to turn off their phones or keep their phones at home or wrap them up in foil because their stuff would be hacked by the local guests at the hotel. During the cybersecurity conference, they warned the hotel staff, like, they're going to hack your shit. Be careful. And this is that crew that they roll with. And so it combines a lot of notorious stuff with the surveillance state, with the models and the parties, and all goes together. Let's hit the next image. Because, and you're wondering, where's he going to be at? I know where the guy's going to be at next. Tom Alexandrovich, the one that was going to molest the little girl. He's going to be at Tel Aviv University speaking. And who's he going to be speaking with? And they're connected to. Go to the next image. It's this character right here, Mike Huckabee. This is our U.S. ambassador to Israel. And guess who Mike Huckabee? Connections to everybody. Yeah, he's a fellow at the Liberty University. Yeah, he's a fellow there, adjunct fellow or whatever.
Close personal friend of Falwell Jr.
Yeah, he's connected to everybody. This is the interconnectedness of this stuff. So let's ask Mike, hey, when you're there in a couple months from now in Israel, speaking at this conference about international security and defense, can you ask the dude there what's up with him? Yeah, come back
to the U.S. and face some consequences. You know, there's some charges.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because as you could see, Epstein was their scapegoat. No one else has to go down. Only Epstein went down for all of them. He was the scapegoat, and everyone behind the scene, the party moves on. The party moves on. And you know what's funny? It's even the connections with Huckabee and Nexium, even like Hillary Clinton, Roger Stone, and this guy. They lobbied for Nexium when Keith Raniere got busted. Because we started off with Keith Raniere and the Dalai Lama. When Keith Raniere got busted, well, it was Roger Stone, Hillary Clinton, and this dude who stepped up to say, no, Keith's cool. The interconnectedness of these people. They're behind the scenes, what's going on. We can clearly see it. That's why I'm saying next week is going to be on point. Escape from Mystery Island. Because now we're going to step into a lot of their private worlds. Yep. Sergey Brin, Musk, Ellison, Gates, all the richest homies. I just went and I asked AI, like, well, show me all the richest people of the world that have private islands. And I'm like, oh, wow, all them? And then I take all these people and cross-reference against scandals and arrests and sexual abuse. Oh, shit. Like that? So it's just a couple Google searches and you'll see that these islands are used for nefarious activities, from drug running, heroin, child trafficking, whatever, because they see it as their own micronation state. That's what it comes down to. If you get your own zip code like Liechtenstein, you do whatever you want. The Bahamas, you create a bank, a charter, and you're off to the races.
You know, it's always when you have these two, we just witnessed a real intense mass event, right? With the assassination that just happened of Charlie Kirk. And we need to talk about, okay, all I want to talk about is why did Netanyahu come out on public television and say that he wasn't responsible for his death? Why is one of his closest friends, I don't respect this woman's politics, but she knew the man and she was close personal friends with him. Why is what's that girl's name? The African American. It's gonna bug me.
Candace
Owens. Why is Candace Owens saying that there's all this shady stuff? Because Kirk was this is the rumors, right? Everyone's talking about it. Kirk was openly turning on Israel. Right. And then all of a sudden he's out of the picture. Right. Because if he could get the far right to splinter along America First lines, this would end the MAGA coalition and Trump would be a sitting horse in the water. And you know what? No incoming Democrat is ever going to support Israel, because Israel is anathema in the public consciousness. The only people who are supporting that are cultists at this point. So it's like, it's radical, wild stuff, man. Who has the most to gain? Who has the most to gain? Right.
So my thoughts on Charlie Kirk, first of all, is that he had regular kids that were innocent. They didn't know about this. His wife, she's going to take up the mantle. She's already ready to be martyr part 2.0. I get it. Charlie didn't deserve to be shot that way. You know, no one deserves to be killed that way. His beliefs spoken into action is how I believe it. Because the guy who got him was a groper. It turns out that he wasn't so much on the left side. He was a Nick Fuentes kind of homie. This is that alt-right crowd.
That's
So this is the
insane.
dangerous part that Trump doesn't like, is this gray
But
area.
but but okay, we got to talk about this guy because there's this weird thing that's happening online, and I think that this guy is he's more psychotic than he is political. And what I
Yeah,
mean by that is that we're seeing a lot of like, I don't think that he was even so much a groyper as he was what I would call, you don't really see them as a group anymore, but loosely affiliated would be the Boogaloo Boys. People who
sure,
are
sure.
boomers. What are they? They're not really left or right. They're accelerationists. They want the world to end. They want modern society to end, and they want to pick
That
up their
sounds like
gun.
some Peter Thiel. Sounds like some Peter Thiel kind of shit right there. And
Exactly. Right? Like the
and
way that kid was talking, it's a video game. He wants to fight in a video game. That's what he was doing with those memes. That's what it is. Like these people are all revved up and they're looking for Civil War Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. And it's bloody
yep,
insane.
meme magic. He who controls the meme controls the magic. The fact that he put the meme on the bullets is a sigil. That's a form of ancient mystical magic. Um, to put that on your missile, your shield, your weapon, that sigil, and to put these memes, and these memes that are right wing memes at that, that are alt right, are it's the gray area. This is the gray area. This is where politics have become, because
You get
the
into that
AI
weird
algorithms
horseshoe
figured it out.
insanity, right? You get
Yeah,
into that exactly. And the AI algorithm feeds into it. It feeds into this acceleration point where these people look the same, right? Like the guy is saying far left and far right things at the same time because he doesn't
yeah,
even know
yeah,
what he's talking about. It's just like the previous, we saw that in another shooter with that trans shooter who is trans, but also having Nazi imagery on their stuff, you know?
yeah. And
The
it's the
reason why this is
fracturing of the
really,
human mind. We can be
and
fractured into different personalities, and that was what I wanted to show with Epstein, is that he had different personalities. We have different
absolutely.
personalities as humans.
And we have to talk about why this is relevant because all this connects back to this meme magic and to this battlefield that Peter Thiel is at the heart of, right? He has been following the Russian playbook. He's funding Curtis Yarvin. He's funding a lot of these groypers in the alt-right. Like, people, you think it's not relevant? This is beyond relevant. All of this alien stuff that he's pushing to, all of this far-right extremist Christian stuff, it's all about disconnecting people from reality, making them fearful, and turning to him. Become more reliant on AI, become more reliant
Well,
on him, you know, lose all
they'll
sense of reality.
this could be used as an opportunity by them for a pre-crime agenda. You
Yeah.
know, more police state, more. They love that. They love doing that. So yeah. So like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and get ready for next week, because they're all involved. It's all. This is what we've come down to. Whereas Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, the people that talks about the conspiracies get assassinated in a conspiracy. It's where everyone's involved at this point. This is our reality in life, what they've turned it into. You know, so it's City Dionysia. So we're gonna write our own script in this and have fun, and we'll see what happens.
Right. It's all wild and it's all constructed, and everyone has an agenda to push. Right. Just remember that. Always take a step back and try to use your reason. And remember, we're just a couple of dudes hanging out, having fun. All right. So, like Dion said, like and subscribe. Thank you guys all for joining us. This was so much fun. And we hope to see you next week for part 2. Peace and love, and take care.